Enjoy the show. Play on my channel.
I've been looking into our main topic here of
pornography.
Yeah, of the pornography. The main topic of the podcast, we decided here in the last couple podcasts is, especially I think it was during the shared mythology episode, of doing a deep dive into the Neanderthal. And I was looking at it, and we'll start at the big tagline of Neanderthals today, which is we have Neanderthal DNA.
Of course.
A lot of us outside of the continent of Africa, because they weren't there. There's Neanderthal DNA. So if you're Eastern European, Western European like us, you are probably, I would say, anywhere from like 1 to 6% Neanderthal DNA. So,
of course, look at me. I'm here as fuck.
I went and looked into some Romanian stuff, and I said, "Hey, man, is there a lot of evidence of human Neanderthal commingling around the Romanian area?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." Apparently, Romania has always been like a melting pot. It's been like America, the proto-America right there. Just stick everything in there and in a soup and just kind of wiggle it all together. But
it's super centralized, isn't it? Yeah,
Neanderthals and humans were intertwining the conolingus there. Yeah, like it. All the way back. And there was another story that was like 30,000 years of interbreeding evidence was found in, I believe that was out of Gibraltar. So
it's like it's really central, so that really does make sense. Like I'm looking at here on a map, it's really centralized in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, and it's mainly up in that what would have been colder area. I mean, at least for the last portion of their lives, because like I said in a previous podcast, we only had, because of the evidence in France, we only had about like 30,000 years of commingling with these people before they just disappeared. Okay, so either we fucked them to death or we fought them to death. You know, death by snoo or death by spear. What do you want? Which spear do you want? That's the question they ask. Like, hey man,
oh my God.
Which spear do you
dropped
want?
that hard.
Yeah, we hopped on phallic tendencies hard here this podcast, but that's where you gotta look at it, man. I mean, when you're boning with a Neanderthal, though, it was mainly Neanderthal men breeding with human females, I believe. It wasn't. Yeah. It was one way or the other. I'm going to see if I could find that.
More likely.
It's one of those things that it's it was 1 to 2% on average Neanderthal DNA through most non-African humans.
But what I want to know is, right, so if we're Homo sapiens sapien are able to breed with Neanderthal, then they must have a common ancestor, no?
Well, it says that they met in Eurasia. So they didn't just compete, they also went on dates, they say, to be cute. But
no,
that's the thing. I mean, like, you're either
copulating,
so you're either going to promote this new species to where there could have been something where genetically it went one way, because I think it was, I want to say it was like Neanderthal women couldn't really successfully mate with human men, but the Neanderthal men could date with the human women. I'm pretty sure it's that way. It might be the other way, but that's the thing. You got these bigger, stronger, and they had bigger brains than us. So that's where the old adage is that they were, relatively kind of like dumb. But now we're finding that archaeologists found skeletons of early Neanderthals with severe healed fractures who lived for decades after the injuries. That means their group was tenderly nursing them, mending bones, sharing food, putting out putting paid to the ruthless savage stereotype. So it goes against that, but we're going to take care of Grandpa because he broke his leg, and give him some of the bison you just caught. All right, now we're all eating and we're all surviving until the next season.
They'd have to have some sort of form of community, otherwise they wouldn't have been so successful. Like people that think that there's dumb cavemen are idiots because they were around for 250,000 years. Like that's just an estimate. Like that's
even.
They're so successful.
Like old Europe, I was seeing this, what it's called. So old Europe in that time goes back to even some of the oldest civilizations we're finding are about 5,000 to 6,000 BC. So that's pretty old. Okay, so that's already a conceptualized circle. It's a circle, and then bunch of houses and buildings all in a circle. That's a community. There's bigger buildings for administration. Maybe all the people gather together in districts. There's houses that archaeologists can look at and say, yeah, no, this is looking pretty societal. And yes, you don't have proof of writing, but what Göbekli Tepe, even when you look at it from a traditional standpoint, Göbekli Tepe really kind of comes down to whether they had writing as we know it or not. Civilization, as we can put it, to where, hey, you got to walk on this side of the road because carts go in the center, or horses and big stuff that we're traveling with go in the center. There's rules that people will follow if you're in a big enough group. Hey, we all go to the bathroom over there away from the water so we don't die.
Yeah.
Core things that maybe were tied to myth. As I was looking through Romanian folklore, there was a lot of things. And you said
Eurasia as well. But it's Turkey, Oh,
yeah, exactly. It's right there. So if you're looking at that step, we know Göbekli Tepe was 10,000, and they're finding other stuff.
Parent Tepe is even older. It's right beside it.
And I think that's in towards the continent more. So when you go that way, there's older stuff.
Makes sense though, because they would have been traveling east, so they would have made something, kept traveling, make something else, keep going. They're fucking landmarks.
Well, here's something I heard on Rogan, which really makes sense with this conversation. How many buildings alone that we can say are a building, man-made, are in the Sahara Desert?
Oh, it's pretty ridiculous.
How many? How many? You know what I mean?
Sure, I'm convinced. I'm really
almost
say
we know
Atlantis
where civilization started? Because you're saying Uruk, but then you're showing me stuff in the Ukraine, which is it's a circle. I don't know how much more grid pattern. And they're like, oh, well, maybe they just came here once a year. Then that's 14 separate tribes, because there were lines going in, like parade lines, parade routes. So even still, that's like, I counted them, like 14 different tribes that would come together cumulatively and celebrate some kind of big ritual, probably end of year. Thank God for all the harvesting and the foraging we did. Here's a big hubbubaloo. I see that intrinsically into human beings. We want to celebrate after we're going into a big stormy season, or after a big stormy season, something like that. We want to celebrate. We want to have a ritual, something to look forward to. How far back those rituals go. I mean, you may even find some stuff with Neanderthals, like what was the one thing I saw here? Flower burials. The Shandar Cave in Iraq contained Neanderthal remains surrounded by fossilized pollen bundles from yarrow, cornflowers, and grape hyacinths, suggesting deliberate ceremonial burials with floral offerings. So laying flowers at a grave as a funerary rite may go back 300,000 years before us.
I was fighting to sneeze so hard there, bro. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good. I didn't hear anything. Fantastic.
No, I didn't. I had it in, bro.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know what that did to your system, but it was good for the audio. But you got to think, that's like potentially 600,000 years of putting flowers on a grave.
600,000?
Well, because you have 300,000 years of humans, and then the 300,000 in Neanderthals. If we commingled with them, got rituals like, hey, let me put a flower on your grave, that's a ritual that spans back almost, half a million years. That's fantastical is what that would be. I mean, even just the earliest evidence of flowers at a burial being with Neanderthals. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they made the gun and everybody kept it a secret. That would be silly. But flower burials, that's something that's a little bit more tangible that I think, that's believable. I saw somebody throw a flower on a grave. They said it meant this. It's supposed to help somebody with the afterlife.
It looks flowers beautiful. Are beautiful.
It's a nice, beautiful send-off for the person. Vikings, they used to burn them, pop them in a boat with your shit, burn them. Not
always. Sometimes they'd bury them in a boat.
Yeah. But there are some burials in the ground too, so there are different burials for everything. But just the burial culture. When you look at it, burying the dead goes even to the Homo naledi, where they went into caves and they would go down these shafts with these bodies.
I've seen that,
and then eat them and bury them down there. Like
that's fucked up.
That's a ritual of burying the dead that you could say. I mean, elephants we see as very intelligent creatures. They don't do it. They mourn.
Yeah.
And then the pack moves on. But they don't even they.
Heard.
But they will pick up trash in the park and put it in the trash can.
Yeah.
It's a very entertaining video.
Wait, where was what region was that where they did the cave burial? That tribe? What was that tribe again?
That was the Shandar Cave in Iraq.
No, the one where we the one that I'd seen before, where the guys that they dropped the body down.
With the Homo naledi.
Was that in France? No. But because what I was going to say to you earlier was, do you think if, as I was saying, like if humans and Neanderthals interbred, that there was a different shared ancestor before that diverged?
A shared ancestor? Well, I think
like they'd have to be to interbreed, because like wolves and dogs.
Well, yeah, and there's certain traits that we would get from the Neanderthals, which go into like the genealogy. So
does it come from what was Lucy?
That was, I believe, originally.
Australopithecus? No.
Well, originally, I think they thought it was Australopithecus, but it was
different subspecies again, wasn't it?
I think it was Homo erectus.
So
or
Homo
they
erectus
thought it was
before.
Yeah, or they thought it was Homo erectus, and it turned into being an
Australopithecus.
Yeah, Australopithecus. I think, but that's the thing. I mean, sometimes they find a tooth, a jawbone, and they're like, "This is a different species." So, is it a different species? Is it just a species you've seen that is deformed? Sometimes you gotta wait for all the pieces to come in there, but that's where they have enough of like Homo naledi. A small, like tops 4-foot creature that is kind of Hobbit sounding when you look at it. And
like Homo floresiensis as well was kind of Hobbitish as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and see, earwax and bitter taste genes. Genetic analysis shows Neanderthals had the same gene variation modern humans have for tasting bitter compounds. And wet earwax. So
it had wet earwax.
Yeah, you got wet earwax and bitter things. Taste for bitter things.
So humans before they interbred with Neanderthals had dry earwax.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of different kind of earwax. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe the earwax, it says thanks to the ABCC11.
Would it be easier to clean?
Maybe it's easier to clean, and that's something that helped, later on. It prevented infections, because that would be another thing that quickly can take you out is an infection. Even an ear infection.
What do you believe? Like, do you believe in the age old, like Africa was the birthplace of humanity, or do you think that's too simplistic to say one place?
Well, the evidence suggests it. The evidence is right now, at least, suggesting that the migrate, especially with human migration patterns, that it's all coming out of one area. And we know enough about that continent. It's high enough level that the continent itself was above water. We have a desert now, but we know it's been green. It's been a desert. It's been green again. The actual environment of that landmass has changed so much. So that's where, I think it's a safe bet to say Africa.
But is it Homo sapiens sapiens that came from Africa, or they're saying like what came from Africa is what I'm saying? Like, what are they saying is exactly is Homo sapiens sapiens?
They evolved from the southern part of Africa. You have like Homo erectus, and then it goes to Australopithecus and the different branches, because there's a huge tree that lead to us.
I know, but what left Africa is what I'm trying to pinpoint.
All of the different branches start to branch out. That's where you get Neanderthals, is a branch of a branch. That's why they're a cousin, not a direct.
So this is what I'm saying. So the Neanderthals start in Africa as well.
Yeah, so like Neanderthals are like a cousin rather than like a great-great-grandfather, like that type. So it
doesn't make any sense to me. What was going on in the rest of the world? It was just empty.
That's the traveling, I'm going to go this way, you're going to go that way. So if your family goes that way, my family goes this way, we don't have any communication with each other. So there's going to be this whole separate race starting from the same thing. But as you go down the line and the years turn, the genetics happen, you're in a different environment, you're consuming different things. That's just like the difference in blood type. You have O, which is the oldest, and then you get all the way up to AB. That's a different thing that came out of farming and, all the different kinds of commingling of genetics.
I don't believe that, though. I understand that, like, a subsect of humans came from Africa and branched out across the world, but I don't think every human came from Africa.
Well, it's where the species got back together down the line, right?
But the world was empty.
You have a subspecies that formed over here, and then you have another migration.
Yeah.
And now,
so the world was empty, and people were only in Africa.
Is going to be different over in Asia than it is in Europe.
No, but what I'm saying is, go back to the very start, right? Right. So if everybody comes from Africa, go back to the very start. Everybody's just in Africa, and the rest of the world is empty. Or is it just Homo sapiens were in Africa and there's other? See what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. This, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand if people say Homo sapien, right, derived from Africa. That makes sense to me. But what I'm saying is maybe different races of maybe they come from different offshoots as well. Like, so what, the rest of the world was empty and everybody was just hanging out in Africa. Then why were people just born in Africa? You know what I mean? How come we only evolved down there? How come Homo erectus only evolved there? Like, what? You know what I mean? Because there's all these different subspecies, like Homo floresiensis, the Denisovans, the fucking Neanderthals, and Homo sapiens, and all this shit, right? But what I'm saying is, where did it all start? Like, where did everybody come from? Because I don't think everybody just came from one place. That makes no sense to me. You know what I I
Yeah, so
see the point I'm getting
it's
at?
a very interesting topic. So I wanted to get to this one. I wanted to get it working on this one as well. Homo sapiens originated in Africa 300,000 years ago. However, the subspecies developed in other parts of the world depends on scientists' definition of human taxonomy. So it depends. So Eurasian relatives, whether subspecies developed outside of Africa boils down to the classic scientific debate over classification. The separation species view, the most common today, most paleoanthropologists, I think I said that approximately right,
Paleoanthropologist.
Yeah, there you go. Classify Neanderthals as Homo neanderthalensis and Denisovans as Homo denisova. The ancestral population Homo habiliorgenensis left Africa around 500,000 to 600,000 years ago and split.
So that's the common ancestor.
Two groups in Eurasia. Neanderthals evolved in Europe and Western Asia, Denisovans in East and Central Asia. So that's where the species separated. So we got Neanderthals with the bigger brains, stronger, more built tough to live through the winter, and then we get out of that same family tree the Denisovans of Asia. So that really kind of shows just the whole genetic path of your difference between Asians and Europeans. Yes, it came from Homo heidelbergensis. Jesus,
that's the common ancestor.
Yeah, that's the common ancestor that left Africa around 500 to 600,000. So that's the ancestor that I say we go right. No, we go left. Fuck you. Fuck you. And they just split. One went to the opposite end of the world as the other one, and they didn't talk for the rest of the time until one of them wanted to take over the other. Then, one of them did.
I'll take Europe, you take Asia.
So that's why I wanted to take the time to boil that down, because that's very interesting, having the difference be the common ancestor there. And then you have the
Homo sapiens separate again.
Yeah, and then waves of Homo sapiens after that.
I'm not sure if you're allowed to say waves of Homo sapiens. It's a negative connotation. But
it does sound. It sounds dirty. It sounds dirty. Yeah. So modern Homo sapiens expanded.
So the common ancestor with the really long name, Homo, whatever. They left
Hablogensis.
Hablogensis. Right. So Homo hablogensis leaves Africa.
Oh, Haberdell. There's an L there next to the B. Heidelbergensis. There it is. Heidelbergensis. I've heard that word before.
So Homo heidelbergensis leaves Africa, okay? 500,000 or 600,000 years ago. Or is it 500,000 or 600,000 years ago from now, or 500,000 or 600,000 years before they became Neanderthals and Denisovans?
That was 500,000 to 600,000 years ago.
From today?
Yeah, like just in general, it's saying.
So Homo sapiens, is the common ancestor Homo heidelbergensis? Is that the common ancestor for Homo sapien, Neanderthals, and Denisovans as well? Or Homo sapiens an offshoot of something else?
So let's see. Homo sapiens idle-to. So Homo sapien IDALTU. Idle-to? Idle-to? That sounds dirty. Edel-to? Did you get your Edel-to checked?
It sounds like something you'd hear in what the Sound of Music. It's like Edelweiss or something. Yeah. I don't know why.
So an extinct subspecies of early modern human found in Ethiopia, dating back to roughly 160,000 years ago. And Homo sapiens, all living people on Earth belonging to this single subspecies, in which evolved in Africa before migrating across the globe in major waves starting around 60 to 100,000 years ago. So
why is it
the main difference is when they left. So that's just the definition that they've classified that species of people leaving in the migration.
Why is it Homo sapien?
It may just be the AI and how it wrote it.
No, that's clearly what it's called.
Well, it says Homo sapiens. Yeah, it may just be whatever the Latin word is. Like the really human, the human humans.
Yeah, man guy.
May boil down to a racist derivation. You never know. Usually, sometimes it does.
But I find that fascinating because that's something that never really dawned on me until today. That like we always talk about humans and Neanderthals interbreeding, and in this like what we are today in a lot of ways, especially as you said, Western Europeans, we all have a little bit of Neanderthal in us.
Yeah,
But,
like 1 to 2%. So that's a family member down the line, at least.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know, like look at me. Like I'm not that tall. I'm broad. I've got like
Yep.
lots of hair. I've definitely got some Neanderthal in me. I'm Western European. I'm Irish, like, but Western European. You know, so I definitely like it makes sense. And I come from a cold climate, so they probably were here. They're
Oh
probably
yeah,
prolific
Europeans,
as well. You know,
small people. You know, I don't know why when you get up to like Norway and then you start to get into like taller people all of a sudden with the
as well,
cold. How?
the aliens.
It has to
Scandinavian
be either
aliens. The Scandinavian aliens, of
the
course.
Scandinavians.
The Scandinavians.
There we
But
go.
they wanted the race of aliens, the Scandinavians, remember?
Yeah, Scandinavians.
They actually
yeah.
are. That was
Yeah.
on Fox. I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, the four with the four fingers. Yeah, the Simpsons characters.
I bet you Alex Jones was probably watching that Fox segment and his erection was probably gigantic.
I knew it.
Reptilians, Joe Rogan.
The global government. Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, man. 60 to 100,000 years ago. That's how long. I mean, that's like a stubborn argument of somebody saying, "What?
Yeah.
It's fine here." Like, dude, I'm moving.
So
You
this is
can
when
stay.
Homo sapien leaves Africa 60 to 100,000 years ago.
Yeah, our direct ancestors that they're all tying back to Africa. That's
And
60 to 100,000.
Homo heidelbergensis, is it? Bergensis?
Yeah, that was 500 to 600,000.
600,000 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So now, right? So this is Homo sapien has now still been in Africa for in and around 350,000 years, give or take, okay? And that's like at the higher end of it. So that means Neanderthals were probably around for a couple of 100,000 years before they even came in contact with Homo sapiens. That's
Oh, I
fucking
mean,
weird.
you're possibly looking at like 200,000 years before they even
Any contact.
look at
Yeah.
anything that was their cousin, you know, again, because they populate that whole the whole Eurasia, the whole Europe area. They populate the whole thing. I mean,
But do you think that's a
to
bit like far-fetched
making-
that they didn't come into contact before that? It's a
Well,
long time.
it is a long time, but that's the thing. I mean, these guys were making their own glue out of birch pitch. So they knew how to heat birch pitch to make a tar at low temperature. So it's
Yeah,
not
probably seen it from a
necessarily
wildfire.
it's not necessarily like, oh, they had the wheel and we didn't know. This was out of necessity. They needed a way to keep the stone on the spear. So wrap it in pitch, wrap it in twine, fucking good enough to kill. Let's go. You know, that
How do
kind
you
of
think they get
that's
fire?
where I consider the real like hunter gatherer lifestyle. You're living in the wilderness. You got to eat. You got to have clothing on your back. You got to have a shelter of some kind.
It's cold. It's cold as well in Europe
Yeah.
in the middle of winter. Winter here is brutal.
And they still find some kind of decorations like different ornaments and stuff for hair, maybe or necklaces. You know, they find different things to where, just like the Inuit people of the day, they still have, ceremonial objects. They have little knickknacks and things to have in their house. Hey, this is this is my version of a
Fucking
candle.
nothing else to do, dude.
I mean, it's one of those things that ties everything and
What else
everybody
should you be
together.
doing? Like,
I mean,
You know
what
I
is
mean?
there? There's no fun. Fun has not been invented yet. It's not been invented at least
Wait,
until the
even with
70s.
people, they're living up in the North Pole. You make some fucking ornaments, of course you would. You'd be bored shitless.
She's so fucking
Come
bored.
on.
There's nothing to do.
No-
Fun wasn't
nothing to
invented
do,
yet.
literally.
See, that's the difference. Now we have so much fun. There's fun everywhere you look. I could find.
Anyway.
I can't even turn my head. I can find something fun in my house. All right, we didn't have
Could you
that.
imagine though?
You had your
Could you imagine what the
imagination.
Stars look like stars. Could you imagine what the stars looked like back then though? No light pollution, deep winter,
See, that's where you
all
get
for
like.
based on ergot and mushrooms.
I mean, that's where you get like the different colors of the galaxies and the nebulas and the Milky Way, and you see all that on fucking.
Could you imagine
ergot
what the
and
Northern Lights would
mushrooms.
look like to a primitive mind?
Oh my god, man! That's where you get like. There's one, I think it's an Egyptian hieroglyph relief to where the sky is a woman, like kind of like doing art, her back arched, So
Northern Lights.
yeah, like, and that was like the Milky Way. And you're like,
Oh.
that is so crazy, because then they cut to where the Milky Way without light pollution, and it looks like an arch, just like the woman. You're like, they just said, oh my God, look at that. That's, the sky. She holds everything up there. And they're creating their stories out of this to try to understand their world. But that's where, how far back does that go? Especially when you look at Egypt. That's right there. You didn't have far to go. That's like working 5 minutes from your house. You can walk.
And do you think they invented fire by accident? Like they just saw wildfires, lightning strikes, shit like this?
I think that would have at least sparked the curiosity of it, right? Because if, like, say, lightning strikes and you pick up like a tree branch that's on fire, you have fire temporarily. Maybe if you keep that flame going, now you got a sacred flame ritual. You still got to figure out how to make that fire. So that's where I think it's more probably I would say an accident while you're just trying to make something to hunt. You're looking for the right kind of stone. You're looking for flint. You get two dissimilar metals in a dry season, and you have fire. And all of a sudden, if you're on Urgot, you are the fire god. You know what I mean? You're tripping balls. You're fucking thinking you are the shit. You have magic. I mean,
when do you think that they saw the benefit of it though? Like, as first, obviously for warmth, and then they're like, "Oh, we can cook food." Like, where do you think this came from? Like, where do you think the progression of the use of fire and then it became a weapon? Of course.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of it happening by taste. By like having you burnt my food, you son of a bitch. You put it in the fire and you eat it, and you're like, hang on, that's fantastic. But
what do you think gave them the idea to cook it at all?
I mean, that's the hard thing to pin down, because you have the need for food and you have the food, but to switch over from that raw food to cooking, that's like a change. That's a lifestyle change. You know what I mean? That's like saying, I'm going to stop eating cookies today. All right? Cookies are everywhere. If I had to run and hunt down a cookie, it'd probably be few and far between that I eat it. But if there was a way for this person to make their food last longer, I think that's one real quick, easy way, because if you don't cook anything, it's going to spoil really quick, especially in the hot sun. So there's a need for that, but also while you're looking for tools, all of a sudden you find this salty substance. It got all over your food. Kind of tastes bitter, but you notice it is still good. A couple days later, you're like, this is fucking crazy. You just found salt and a way to preserve your food.
So do you think all these shits are just happy accidents?
I mean, it's easy to describe it as a happy accident. When you don't have any frame of reference for this needs salt. Like, imagine you don't know what salt is, and you're just like, I don't know, it's bland.
What do you think about even eat it?
Something, because you got to think, even basic things like salt and pepper, there have been countless wars fought over salt alone. Countless wars fought over salt, because the Roman army, they would give you salt so you could preserve your food.
Not worth your weight in salt, like the old saying.
Yeah, or salary. That's how we get that word, from salt. The allotment.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the allotment of salt that you would get for your work. So that's the thing, man. There's so many things that we just became a melting pot alone with English. Of where words come from. You ever talk to a linguist and where these different phrases and things come from in the world?
English is made from Latin, German, like we've got French in there. Like the English language is a real amalgamation of other languages.
I had somebody ask me if I lived in England once, because I always, I'll say, hey mate, what's up? I'll call people mate. I'll use a couple different mannerisms that my old English business partner used to say. And it's one of those things that it's because you like it and you keep saying it, like the word giggity. Anything sexually suggestive. Sometimes when it's not even sexually suggestive at all, I'm throwing a giggity out there.
I bet you did. Giggity.
You know what I mean? It's so easy. So this one word from a show that got taken off the air at first.
Yeah.
And the reruns brought it back. Like this thing was a long dead zombie that they just brought back to life, and it took off running. And that's how you have Orville and all these American Dad, all these different animations that are still going. This is so wild to say. It's like my parents saying, "Wow, my kids listen to Ozzy." Jesus, these guys are still watching The Simpsons. It's so crazy to think like that transference there. But what came from Neanderthals, tie it back in there.
One of my favorite moments from Ancient Aliens ever was George Tsoukalos. So he's talking about Homo floresiensis, right? And he's talking about how Homo floresiensis was discovered in a chain of islands near Malaysia, I think it was, or Indonesia, or something like this. And he goes, so my hypothesis for how Homo floresiensis got onto this chain of islands is one of two things. It's like they either sailed there because of water or aliens.
Wow. I mean, there's another one in between there.
Land bridge? Probably the water levels are different. Land bridge. It's a chain of islands, so I'm sure it was one part of a land before. You fucking Tsoukalos is a legend.
Oh yeah. Well, you also look at I was looking at just even the water level at the Barangian land bridge, and I was looking at that land. I went to Google and I asked Gemini, I was like, hey, how deep is that? And it was like 200 feet. I was like, oh, okay, so if the water level was below 200 feet. So I started following that ring of land all the way around, and especially up in Alaska. It was like a clear chain of just islands that you could just island hop, walk most of the way.
Dude, if it's a chain of islands that is 100% used to be one piece of land that got submerged, and not all of it is submerged, and now it's a chain of islands. Nearly, that's why they call it a chain of islands, because it's fucking nearly always connected underneath the water,
Yeah.
So when people 9 times out of 10, if you look at ancient civilizations back in the day, if they're in a place that's isolated now, it's because the sea levels rose.
Yeah,
it's simple. Definitely there was seafaring nations back in the day. Long time ago, the Polynesians went a long way.
Yeah, Malta's a perfect example of that, because Malta, it was connected to Italy, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could have erosion, you could have sea levels rising, and especially over a course of thousands of years, and after the end of the ice age, you're going to have massive sea level rise. So when people try to think, how did this isolate, whatever happened, it's because more often than not there was a land bridge and it was connected to a major part of land. Either that, or you could have even had continental shifts, where pieces of land break away as well over time, and they do become isolated, places like Madagascar and shit like that, Madagascar is actually fascinating, with the lemurs and stuff, because they're actually not native to Madagascar. They actually they got swept there 250,000 years ago during a storm. God, and they just populated.
Wow. Yeah,
and because there was so little biodiversity in terms of the food chain there, the lemur just went and took over different parts of the food chain. And there's a lemur there that looks like a puma because there was no apex predator.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it just invasive species in there.
Yeah, it just filled every void. There's lemurs that are like primates. There are lemurs that are like fucking marsupials almost. They just literally filled every single gap in the food chain. The hierarchy. It's very cool, and that kind of goes back to what humans do when they go to different parts of the world. They figure out how to adapt. They figure out how to fucking fill in the food chain. That they become the ape. That's one thing. We're the only species that has populated every single part of the globe.
So
and we dominate. Like,
here's the one thing about speaking about domination. But I was looking at this. My next inquiry into Gemini here was that. Well, I was wondering, is there any evidence of Neanderthals in Ireland? And the answer is no. Didn't make it.
No.
Didn't make it.
Really?
So they didn't make it that far because of the glacial scoring during the last glacial maximum. Massive ice sheets covered almost all of Ireland. So glaciers act as a giant natural bulldozer. Even if small groups of Neanderthals adventured into Ireland during the warmer interglacial periods, thousands of years of heavy glacial movement likely destroyed or erased any caves, stone, tools, skeletal remains left behind. So if they were there, there's no way we could have known.
Ireland was completely covered in ice during the Ice Age.
Oh, yeah, you guys were all under ice.
Completely. Like, so we were uninhabited during the Ice Age.
Well, I mean, maybe if it was a warm spell and they, it got kind of like balmy there, maybe. But, probably
Where did all that ice go? So that means there must have been a serious amount of water.
But you're giving yourself a little bit of a barrier here because it is possible for somebody to be in that those sub-degree temperatures. That was the word I was looking for too.
Sub-zero.
There are people that do live in that, I mean, there's a whole population of fuckers in Canada, even though 90% of them are just over the border. There are, a whole bunch of different people that say, oh, it's cold. My kind of temperature.
So did they go to Britain? Did they make it to Britain?
Let's see.
Surely Ireland and Britain was all connected to Europe by land at once.
That's the next one. The water barrier. Unlike Britain, which was connected to the continental Europe via a dry land bridge called Doggerland during the low sea level periods, Ireland was separated by deeper marine channels. Neanderthals were not known for seafaring or building open watercraft, making Ireland difficult to reach. And even, I think, in one story I have coming up in Mattcast, which I might actually pull this one out because it says, for decades, archaeologists believed sophisticated seafaring didn't begin until after the Stone Age, but now that idea has been challenged. Stone tools discovered on Greek islands such as Crete and Naxos have been dated to around 200,000 years ago, and some match the Mousterian technology most commonly associated with Neanderthals. Recent dating studies have strengthened the age of these sites and because some of these islands were separated from mainland by open water, even during periods of low sea levels. Many researchers believe these crossings were intentional rather than accidental. No one has found a Neanderthal boat or skeletal skeleton directly linked to these sites, so the case is not yet proven. But the growing body of evidence suggests Neanderthals may have been capable of planning voyages and navigating the Mediterranean far earlier than anyone imagined. So they don't know. They don't have proof, but they think it could be possible, is what I did see there. So yeah, I may pull that story. But it's interesting because that little bit, which is water, separates it. Like, it looks fun. Wish I could go. Oh, well.
Well, how far back did the Rapa Nui populate Easter Island?
Oh, that one I'm not sure. It's not back that far.
Because that's a serious amount of water to cross.
Well, yeah, but there's also let me
ask: were the Rapa Nui Homo sapiens?
Well, that's a good question. But especially like some of the South American people, they've been linked to Polynesian DNA, especially down around Chile, which there was a story I had, I think months ago, about sweet potato. And that was the evidence of them going from this Chilean sweet potato to Rapa Nui, Hawaii, all the way over to the Philippine Islands, and the voyage back and forth. And there is a myth that says the guy went on a voyage, picked up a bride, and went back. And they tracked the myth with the voyage of the sweet potato. So probably happened. So they know this kind of seafaring is possible because there is a whole story on it, especially when you have a culture like that who are on the water. You know, they obviously figured out boats pretty soon.
And could you imagine how quickly they got good at reading the stars? Because
it shows you where you are in the world. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different philosophers that did the math, and they're like, oh, hang on a second. World's about this big. There's a general understanding that certain people had the wherewithal to know where they are matches the stars, and they use that as a guiding post. That's why I think that's the bigger credence behind one of Graham Hancock's claims as the Sphinx being originally Leo, the lion, because that would have been the constellation in the sky, but that's our constellation.
Because of the equinox, or the precession of the Earth, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's our constellation. Yeah, those stars were in the sky, but how do we know they even associated the two? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
that's the
Giza
kind of,
looks like it's almost
shakiness. I kind of thought in that one, but you know, I mean,
Giza lines up perfectly almost with Ryan's belt. But the only thing about Graham Hancock, he's fascinating, but he does go for a lot of confirmation bias. I've seen that in his work. Like, he is fascinating. He's highly intelligent. He's well read and all this, but sometimes he will match.
Oh yeah, but we're all guilty. We can all be guilty of confirmation bias, especially if it's something we really love. Ah, man. You know?
Man, one thing I would never, I never try to go for confirmation bias, because like you go for the heart of the matter, go for the answer. Like, the answer doesn't have to be the answer that you want, as long as you get the fucking actual answer. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like literally, like, if I'm looking into anything and if I've any preconceived notions and I get proven wrong, but I still find out the actual answer, I'm happy because I know the actual answer. That's all I care about. Like, but a lot of these guys. Is that who you was? Does the exact same thing. You get so ingrained in your version of whatever that you start becoming blind to other people's versions or other possibilities and stuff like this. Because like, when we speak about Neanderthals, like, I have no preconceived like notions that in terms of I want to be a conclusion. Like, that's why I keep asking, is like, oh, how do you think they did this? How do you think they did that? And then like we're actually trying to find an answer so we can kind of complete this jigsaw puzzle. Because like, when we're talking, the thing that's fascinating me is that like, when did certain subspecies leave the cradle of humanity? Just say if Africa was it, like, and that's why I kept asking you, when did this people leave? When did these people leave? Because I'm trying to create this picture in my head from the facts, not something that I have preconceived. That like, when did Neanderthals here, and then why were they so successful here? And that's when you said about Ireland, and then I was like, how about Britain and stuff? And now we're kind of getting an idea of like, maybe they were seafaring, maybe they weren't. They couldn't go as far as Ireland. They have what was it, Homo hybridal that left 500,000 or 600,000 years ago, you know, and then that there was an offshoot of Neanderthals and Denisovans, and then Homo sapiens didn't come until relatively later, like 150 to 160,000 years ago. So now we have a more complete picture in our minds of what subspecies and proto-humans and all this were capable of. So now we can start looking at other ones that we know of, like
I think people need to start looking at the North Sea after looking at that water barrier. You guys got to start combing the North Sea, fine tooth comb. You know what I mean? Because that whole Doggerland area, if Neanderthals were there, that's a lot of times. That's Neanderthals, humans, right in this huge, big landmass that, especially if it had marsh and creeks, that's animals. That's hunting. Set up a trap and a walkway. You just got to check the traps once a day and then hunt what you want that day. You know what I mean? There's different ways. that you could go about it, and it's easy stuff like that. Like, let me tie this, make a little rope. All right, got myself a snare, add some bait.
That thing I sent you there yesterday, where the Danube is at its all-time low, and then they found mammoth tusks and mammoth carcasses in World War II ships and stuff.
Yeah, I saw the thing. I saw it about. I watched that one because I was like, hang on, I saw the World War II, but mammoth tusks. The mammoth bones are very interesting, but that's where you're going to find it, especially in times of drought. There's this one place out in Arizona where it's like a 1500s church that's just submerged
in a lake.
Yeah, in a lake, and it's fucking beautiful. It's fucking beautiful, but
Spanish church, isn't it?
Yeah, the Spanish. I mean, we'll fucking build it right there. You sure? We checked the land and the water grading. Fuck it, just build it right there.
Well, a lot of those though are flooded on purpose, though, aren't they? Like for reservoirs and damming.
I don't know. I believe it though.
Irrigation. Like a lot like if you see a lot of shit like that under lakes, a lot of those lakes are actually reservoirs. They're man-made. But like flooding a church, I'm surprised they didn't try and move it.
Yeah, the thing I found interesting, I forget what Rogan I was listening to, but there was a lake in California before that whole boom of Hollywood and stuff. There was a massive lake they emptied. I think it was recent, relatively recent. They just emptied the lake.
Lake Tahoe? No,
I think it was a different lake, but there's a bunch of water problems. There was one city ran out of water.
Like the fact that every country doesn't have a shit ton of desalination plants is baffling to me.
Oh, completely.
Like, we're surrounded by the water, but we need to do reverse osmosis to make it drinkable, so you need desalination plants.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Just put the fucking data centers out there then.
Yeah, but like, man, in Ireland, people are like, oh, we got a shortage of water in Ireland. I'm like, how? We're an island. We're surrounded by the Atlantic. Make desalination plants, do reverse osmosis. We'll always have fresh water.
Dude, parts of your shoreline are eroding. Put it there.
Yeah, fucking Australia. Australia did that. They did the massive desalination plant. They built it into the landscape, so it's not an eyesore because it has to be near the coastline. Yeah, and it was genius. And like they've got a shit ton of fresh water coming from it. Like I think every country that can afford desalination plants should have them.
Yeah, you get the modern 100%. Architecture and engineering in there to make it look nice and not an eyesore. Even the things I've seen, the overpasses for wildlife.
In Holland, Netherlands, sorry, the Netherlands. The Dutch do not like being called Holland.
Brilliant. Enact that everywhere. You will eliminate so many different accidents that happen because of animals.
Yeah, but like you're taking away a food source for the homeless, though, if there's no roadkill.
That's where you just enact one of those other programs, taking some of that nutritious food from McDonald's.
Have you seen the homeless people are being given one-way tickets to Hawaii?
I mean, that's the place it's the place you want to be. You want to be homeless?
No, seemingly not, because fresh water is like it's not very like available.
Oh, yeah, you're surrounded by
storm seasons. There's it's really expensive because it's a tourist trap.
It is, yeah. It's a complete tourist trap. Everything's super expensive.
I've never been.
You're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. That's a lot of salty balls right there.
Yeah, how do they know how a shit ton of desalination plants? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely we steered way off course on that one, but this is an interesting factoid.
We come back because the Polynesian people.
Yeah, that's where we steered off into sailing. But yeah, the Polynesians. But the interesting part, to bring it back to Neanderthals, is while Neanderthal bones weren't found in Ireland, the scientist who first identified and named them as a separate species from Homo sapiens was William King, an Irish geology professor at Queen's College, Galway in 1864. So the an Irishman named them Neanderthals, the Homo neanderthalensis. I didn't know that.
A rock expert, though. He's a geologist. What the fuck does he know about anthropology?
Fucking man found a skeleton and he was able to name it, man. That's like the fucking especially for me. Because I'm really good at naming things. You know, I take
What would you
pride
call
in my
yours?
naming things, and you know, that's like the naming things Hall of Fame.
What would you call yours if you found a subspecies of human?
Oh man, I don't know. Would you want to set? Well, what would you want named after you? Because
I'd call it the homosexual.
I always said like I don't want a street name named after me, because then if there's like a traffic or accident, it's gonna be like, I'm stuck on the fucking Bucarel again. You know,
The mat.
you know, I'm stuck on the Mattman. That's even worse. Now I just ruined it for anybody else that wants to go by Mattman. You're like, not like the Trafficy Boulevard. I'm sorry.
The motorway. We call them motorways over here instead of freeways.
Yeah, I mean, a sandwich would be cool, but that's kind of temporary. I feel like everybody gets a
Man,
sandwich.
I would call my subspecies of human homosexual and would fuck with everybody.
Okay. I mean, yeah, no, maybe like a
Homosexual, sexual.
Homo fedorensis. Yeah. For a nice
It's
fedora.
actually a pretty good one.
A nice fedora reference there. Homo fedorensis. Uh-huh. Why?
Homo
Because
fellatio.
their skull looked like they were wearing a fedora. No idea why. Really prominent straight brow ridge.
How about Homo Simpson?
Oh, that's a nice one. That's a clever one. That's a clever one. I mean, especially if you put it up to like the internet to name the next Homo species.
Oh, that would end badly.
Oh my god, you would get like 90% of it would be gay.
Yeah, and the other 10% be racist.
Oh yeah, like instantly, you know, and there'd be one or two good singers in there. There'd be one or two good singers, you know, that are safe,
Racism is
but,
hilarious if it's done right.
you know, like, and I think anytime they've opened naming things up to the public, they have really quickly fucking regretted that. Especially
Of
in
course.
the age of the internet. You cannot
Trolls.
let people name things.
You'd have one guy and he'd have like 67 different accounts and he's like controlling the narrative and then end up with Butt Muncher 6000 or some shit. Like, you know?
6,000. Oh, that is interesting. That is very interesting. The
And so if all humans come from, what decided race? The weather.
I was looking at because the other
What do you think created races though? So is the weather, is it?
I mean,
Climates.
it would be the
Environments.
environment, and I would say it's the environment you're in, what you're eating, so your diet, your habits, and all that. You know, if you're
And
if
selection.
you're not, like if you're not using your muscles, right, you'll get fat. So
Harsh, but no, I'm trying.
you know what I mean? So if you don't use the muscle and you expand that out. So if your body, like say we go into space, we use our muscles differently. Different muscles will be needed
Muscular
and
atrophy,
will
yeah.
look different. So there is that. Like, all right, maybe that has something to do with it too, because the Neanderthals had a different need than the Denisovans. You know, the Denisovans were like in a cave. You know, but I think they were both pretty much cave-dwelling creatures, but still kind of different needs of the day, different areas, different climates, mixing with the other range of Homo sapiens out of Africa at 60 to 100,000 years ago. I think that has a lot to do with it. Because that's essentially
like-
three different races of beings.
So Neanderthals were all one race. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, they may have had offshoots. I think that's the main Homo neanderthalensis is the big species.
No, like what I'm saying is like Homo floresiensis, like and Homo denisovans, and or whatever the Denisovans, and then you have the Clovis people and all that shit. But like when you look at Neanderthals, like is this a case of environmental selection where like during, like, so pretty much the example I have is during the Industrial Revolution. A friend of mine told me this story. There was a forest at the end of at the edge of a British town, and before the Industrial Revolution, there was this white butterfly, and it was extremely prevalent all over the forest. And then the Industrial Revolution came, and because the trees were coated in soot, a black butterfly actually became more prevalent because it could camouflage better, and the white butterfly ended up dying off and stuff. So what I'm saying is, do you think when Homo heidelbergensis, whatever, when
Damn, that was really
left Africa, that it looked different than the Neanderthal that we know today, and because paler skin, paler features, blah blah blah, because of the weather, because they're able to camouflage better,
Well,
and then
apparently
it became a case
the paler skin only happened about 3,000 years ago.
3,000 years ago.
Yeah, 3,000.
So what caused that then?
I don't know. I
melanin,
didn't read
what
the whole
caused that?
story. I mean,
Lack
it's
of
definitely a
sun,
different,
or
because it would definitely be some kind of difference in the melanin.
yeah, but sorry, I'm just looking for a charger. But yeah, but what caused that though? Like, is it because of a lack of sunlight that, like, literally the
Well, that
the
would
skin
make
became
sense.
paler
That would make sense if you
because
look at the environment. The environment, especially in the northern,
at the ice during the ice age?
yeah, the more north you go, the colder it is. Especially during the ice age. The ice age is going to be, bringing all the temperatures down. That's one of the reasons why all the water level was so low, because it was all goddamn frozen.
Yeah, so pretty much, like, so what I'm getting at is, so over time, to say like the Homo hybrid, Jesus, this one kills me. So the common
know.
ancestor of the Denisovans and the Neanderthals, when they left Africa, but they looked like Homo sapiens sapiens, the same ones that left Africa later. And then they slowly evolved into the Neanderthals in one subspecies, and then the Denisovans in another subspecies. Is that what the
Well,
case
it's
is?
Homo sapiens left at 60 to 100,000. So that's the difference. Is
Yeah.
the
Fair
Homo
enough.
heidelbergensis is like the first migration out, and then it goes to the other migrations out of it. So it's like a constant flow. It's not like everybody, not like a mass migration of everybody.
Yeah.
Some people went. A little bit later on and down the history line, more people went, and who knows
Yeah,
if
but
there
what I'm
were
saying is, what did they look like when they left?
Right.
What did they look like? Like, did they look when Homo sapien? If they are the common ancestor of Homo sapien sapien, Neanderthal, and Denisovan, and there had to be a common ancestor because otherwise they won't be able to interbreed, right? So when Homo heidelbergensis, I fucking can't say that. I need to see the word in front of me. But when they left, they look like the Homo sapien sapien when the Homo sapien sapien left.
Yeah.
300,000 years later, like, or did they look different?
Well, I
and then
think
they
the
evolved into Homo
sapiens
sapiens sapien
are
in
different.
Africa,
Yeah, I think the
and
sapiens
Neanderthal,
sapiens are
and then it's over
different.
here.
And then because you have the Aborigines from the Denisovans, and so there are these masses of migrations that are going through all of them. I think that is what cumulatively added to it. It less of like we're going on a road trip and more of, well, let's move here. Well, this place is shit. Let's move here. I just see it as like extend each generation extending out further and further down the line, just like how they traced Egyptian DNA to, I believe it's Moroccan. So the other side of the continent is where they started. And what they think is that they just followed the green Sahara as it was deteriorating to desert all the way to the Nile and stopped there. Because we know
I've seen.
your genetic data says you were here and then you were there. So now we could travel with you. And then does that line up to when that was going? And that fits with mythology of, yep, Osiris came with all this knowledge. Well, this sounds like somebody else who had a community. Things didn't go well after the flood, so they moved and then started over again. People around them didn't really have an idea what the hell they were talking about. Yeah, what, farming? Yeah, man, look. and showing them farming, agriculture, architecture, all this.
Yeah,
Engineering.
I've seen the drying of the Sahara. The thing that created this massive melting pot in Egypt, and I was thinking, like, you know, look at America today, where it's this like bastion of innovation because of all the cultural, the cultural mental pot, because you have all this like knowledge coming from all over the world.
yeah, they had
and I'm like
Greeks,
thinking maybe that's why Egypt was so advanced for its
Hittites,
time
the
as well,
Turkey.
because
They had like the Hittites of Turkey, the Greeks,
Ki-
and the Akkadians, the Libyan. They had all the Kingdom of Kush, which the Kingdom of Kush and the Hittites both ruled over them for a time in their history too. So it's like, you know, that I can see where you get a real melting pot in that culture as well, right there, because it's right in an avenue of which way do you want to go. Because eventually you don't have to make that hook. You can just hop on a boat and go over. Where did that start? So if it is, like they're suggesting, it's where Neanderthals found out they could make this pitch, right? This tar at a low temperature. So they figured out how to make a low temperature tar. But you're telling me they can't figure out that wood floats? Or they could carve it? Travel on the water? You know what I mean? Saying that they can render fat and have whole areas of where they just render fat from their kills. They have that kind of organization and thought structure, but boats, man, motherfucker.
what made them want to render fat? Like, what do you think? What do you
Preparing
think led
for
to that
winter?
decision?
Well, yeah, it's just like you render the seal fat for, you know, different things in Inuit cultures, preparing for winter and different kind of uses for
Yeah,
it.
but
You know, even if it's just like with
what made-
leather, you know, like tanning the leather and you get a little oil on it to help with that. That's just a nice waterproof, tanned leather jacket, especially in a cold climate. Ooh, add some fur inside, you are baking in the sun.
What do you think? What do you think led them to do that though in the first place? Because this is the
Necessity.
thing that always like.
Well, it's necessity. If hard times breed innovation. So if you have a necessity, if you have a need and a want, you're going to think of some way to fix it. You know, it's just like when you're focusing on the problem, you don't find the solution. It's when you stop focusing on it, you're like, I know exactly what to do with that. That kind of thing is, I think, ingrained in anything that had this kind of conscious mind of ours. To being able to to be able to do the math. You know what I mean? If I have a family of 4 and I kill a squirrel, all of us ain't eating. That's math at its purest form.
It's the starting point that always. Sorry, it's the starting point that always fascinates me. Like, you know, what made them do this when, and then why, and then what made them evolve. Like, because if you go back, that's why I keep like trying to go back to the start of when did different subspecies leave? Because that's why I'm like, I don't think we all came from Africa. I believe Homo sapiens came from Africa, and Homo heidelbergensis or whatever, and then Denisovans, Neanderthals, because you can be tracked. You know, that's why I kept asking about the common ancestor.
Right.
But like, I think there's so many different types of human subspecies around the world that aren't linked to Homo sapiens sapien or Homo heidelbergensis.
They found 2 links of ghost DNA in our DNA. 2 separate species they haven't even fucking heard of. 2 separate.
Think about how many
species.
exactly. Think
make?
about how many that we haven't found.
That's what I'm saying, especially with the specific cases of fossilization and the time frame that we're talking about. There's probably something in there we're never really going to know. But especially when you look at these what genes did we get from them? That's the next question.
Exactly.
What genes did we get from them, and how did it boost us forward? Because some of the genes we get are just like, hey, this helps you from not getting a cold. This helps you get over something quicker. You know, it's just a bunch of stat buffs, essentially.
Yeah,
which are
and
nice.
Like, where did they come from? You know, and how many how many subspecies interbred throughout the course of creation to create what we are today?
Right.
You know, and then how many subspecies interbred to create what we were back then? Like, so if Homo heidelbergensis is the common ancestor for Denisovans, Homo sapiens, and Neanderthals, what was before that? And if it was just Homo erectus and Australopithecus, isn't it? And then, like, so did they interbreed to create Homo heidelbergensis? And did Homo sapien also interbreed with that? Like, what I'm really fascinated by is the convergence of the different subspecies, and then what common ancestors interbred to create the different subspecies, because everybody needs a common ancestor, otherwise they won't be able to breed with one another, you know?
Right.
Like, as I said, wolves and dogs is the perfect example.
Yeah, no, it is the perfect example because, especially when you look at The Expanse. This was my thought. Take this into this is a fun little thought experiment, because where is the Homo species going next? What if we are in that Homo heidelbergensis role of we're going to be going in two separate realms?
Exactly.
You go with the technological cocoon realm of the Joe Rogans, and then you go with the 0G space traveling realm. Those are two completely separate conditions. You look at the technology version of it as to where, do you need legs? Do you even need this corporeal body anymore? Or are you just kind of, how does that next form of existence go off of ours? And it's easy to see the 0G, because we know, even from great shows like The Expanse, you can't take the gravity like an Earther could. Even if if you grew up on Mars and that didn't get hit with a solar flare and waste all your money like a flushing water down a toilet, even if that didn't happen, and you got somebody to grow up on Mars, that person can't go back to Earth because it's different gravity. They're going to have different problems. So our bodies are going to grow in different ways. So if you're in the belt and you're just in kind of zero gravity, you walk around with magnets on your boot, your bones are going to be shit. And your muscles and all that. It's just like, where are we going from here?
Yeah, or did we already go? And that's where greys and stuff like that come from. There are humans that have been, and then like people talk about their drones and stuff. But yeah, like that's the fascinating thing. Like what did we all come from? Like, because that's why I don't think, like, I believe like that I probably came from an African ancestor if you go back far enough. But like, I'm not sure if people from China did, or people from South America did, or whatever, because I don't think there was any stage in creation that there was just people or subspecies of people that were just down in Africa and the rest of the world was empty. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. Like I can say now that we all probably have a shared ancestor, but I think there was different subspecies of humans all around the world before they were inevitably conquered by Homo sapiens sapien or whatever.
Right.
And I think that's the case.
Would
like,
be us humans, and that's why the tree looks so scattered on the bottom. I mean, that's interesting because you really don't know, because like I said, 90% of it is already gone, and the other 10% is there. You have to find it, and you got to have the eye for it. So that's where it gets really kind of murky, because even if you find this, you genetically test everything that you bring into the lab, and we have a better understanding of what we have and the understanding of where that came from. That's a good roadmap, but some of these plot holes we're not going to find out.
Oh no, 100%. It's the same in any kind of prehistoric or like species from antiquity or whatever. You can only do best guess, but the thing is, like, we keep finding more and more subspecies of humans. Like and like that's what I'm saying. Like Homo floresiensis, the Clovis people, Denisovans, Neanderthals, Australopithecus, the Homo erectus, Homo sapiens sapien, Homo heidelbergensis. Like, they're just a few that we know about. the world is so huge. Look at all the different races that we have around the world now, right? So imagine how many different subspecies used to be around the world before they were conquered or bred out of existence. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's probably what happened. There was probably subspecies all around the world. What happened? An invading force came in and they just fucking,
Well,
killed
yeah, I
them
mean, it's
or bred them out of existence.
the story of the conquered. There's only so much that you could get from the fossils and the pots and anything that they would leave. But especially when you're talking about Neanderthals, all of that shit, especially wood, that shit's all gone. But if they had the mastery to make tar and at low temperatures, to make spears, to, do art on the walls and all these different things that we're talking about, I find it very hard to believe that we didn't get something other than genealogy from that in our history. And also
culture,
red hair and fair skin. DNA sequencing reveals the portion of Neanderthal population carried a variant of the MC1R gene, giving them red hair, pale skin, and freckles, predating the modern human red hair mutation. So red hair, don't care. Neanderthal there.
and if you look at Irish people, a lot of Irish people have red hair. So
Yeah,
not as many as they used to, but
because I was looking that up too. But the earliest site of humans in Ireland was, I think, earliest was right now is 10,000 BC. So that's where they're seeing like bear butchered bones and stuff there in Ireland. So I mean, 10,000 ain't bad.
I know there's in our historical records on our myths or whatever that a group of people came up from the Iberian Peninsula and they settled Ireland for a while, and they said it was completely uninhabited at that stage, and they all died. They caught the flu and they all died.
Damn. Yeah, that's rough. Well,
Irish
those temperatures, man.
Man, Irish winters are rough now, but could you imagine what they would have been like back in prehistoric times?
Oh man,
would have been
they may have
ridiculous.
been 100% worse. So that's where it's one of those things that it's hard to imagine what that world would be like. But if you're looking at a world of stone and wood, it could actually be not that bad.
Like, people believe that Neanderthals and Homo sapiens didn't come into contact for, what was the window? 350,000 years? I don't believe that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say for sure because all we have is the fossil record, So at least we know that's when it was popular. I think that's a weird way to put it, but I like it. That, that's when it was popular,
Yeah.
It was the end thing to
prevalent.
do. You get that wave, It's like
Do you think the Neanderthals were like the great replacement theory? They're like, these Homo sapiens are coming to replace us.
Oh my god, the racism that would have been around with those Neanderthals, because there's obviously going to be conflict. There's going to be conflict. There's going to.
Do you think there's some prehistoric racism going on?
They got the their baby. Oh, they have a Neanderthal baby? Oh, I didn't know. Is that where the hatred of gingers came from? Is that where it stems from? My God, wouldn't that be crazy?
Gingers are more rare than any other subsect of human.
I mean, hey, there's a little bit of red in his beard. There's a little bit of red in his beard.
People call me ginger, but it's fair. My hair's fair. It's not ginger.
No, you're more more brown than I am. I'm considered brown.
It's blonde. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of blonde.
Yeah, but that's another fascinating thing is hair. But we'll get that. That's how you know we're scraping the barrel of silly little podcast episode topics. We're like, all right, gang, hair.
Not really, because you can talk about why did we evolve? If we evolved from something like Homo erectus, which was an upright primate and was covered in hair, why did we evolve into having no hair just to wear furs to keep warm? That's an interesting topic.
Yeah. I mean, all right, maybe we'll do a hair episode.
No, I mean, we could talk about it now.
Do a whole deep dive into hair. This has been the silliest little podcast, and this will also give us a little bit more time to catch up. I want to do the next episode up to that first, because I noticed on Disney Plus that they have two separate sections in the Marvel section. They got their Phase 1, their beginning saga all the way up to Endgame, and then they have the next phase. So figure do our next episode, a little silly Marvel recap up to Endgame, and then the other half later on. Have a nice little 2-part episode there. We'll break up with other stuff in between, because the Marvel stuff, especially in the beginning, Big Brother and myself, we do watch throughs. Not every year. It gets really old if you do every year, but spontaneously, that's a better word for it. Spontaneously, we do go through a Marvel run, and we just happen to sync up on Marvel runs. We're a little bit ahead of you, but I just watched Shang-Chi last night, so getting a fresh take, fresher take on, we'll go start off in the beginning and give our take all the way up to Endgame. And I think I like that as our next episode, sir. I think that's going to be great.
Okay. So, silly little podcast, The Infinity Saga.
Oh, that's a better name. Yeah. Yep.
That's what it's called, The Infinity Saga.
Yeah, we'll do the silly little Infinity Saga. Yeah.
I love it.
Great branding. But right. I like to end off these podcasts the same damn way every single time, and that's that we love you and miss you, and we can't wait to see you next time. Until then, game on and drive on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Dude, everybody, right, in the last few years, right, this is a total segue, but I promise I'll come back to the point. But everybody last few years has been complaining about COVID, the pandemic. That's the biggest conspiracy, the biggest bullshit that's been thrust on us. Do you know what the biggest bullshit that's been thrust on us? Paper straws, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck paper straws, man. Like people are like, oh, plastic straws are going to save wildlife. Yeah. Look at China, right? China have the largest fucking coal plants.
Yeah.
In the planet.
Yeah.
India have never, ever met any kind of greenhouse kind of like fucking pollution fucking limits.
I mean, they are doing most
metric
of it.
tons of they dump metric tons of rubbish into their water every day.
That's to where all these plant eco people around here, like, that's all well and good to do your part, but don't go getting on the hate train, because literally, we aren't even like, I don't even want to hear you bitching about my car. Go look at China. All right, go look at them before you go taking my gasoline engine. Go talk to them before you take petrol engines from me. Oh, over my dead body. I mean, it's not like I don't appreciate EVs, but that's where you mainly tickle my heartstrings here, is with the gasoline engine. Cars.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, especially with this is like a whole other separate silly little podcast, but it's like, it's so ridiculous about the oil. We have, especially the U.S., not you guys. You don't have fucking shit, but the U.S., we have oil, okay? I should not be paying your prices. Ew.
100%. Yeah, because export and import. Like, but
you know what I mean? We have it.
Dude, what really pisses me off, right? Where they're like, right? Eat less meat. Cows are producing methane. Go to India, right? Where they're literally shitting in their own drinking water. Like, the Ganges is like 90% chemical toxic waste now. Like, they're dumping literally, I'm not even joking, dude. I watched a documentary on this. Like, they're dumping literal metric tons of rubbish every day into the waterways.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, oh, eat less meat. Well, Indians don't eat cattle, so how's that going for them?
Well, and here's the other thing. Plastic. In the 50s, when they unlocked petroleum and plastic with petroleum-based products, that was huge. You got pipes, you got everything that you could ever want to make. And now in the future, what's the first thing we do? We make it so easy for you to print this plastic. It's literally a printer in your home. You just make whatever you want out of plastic right here. Meanwhile, everyone has microplastics in their body, at least like 90%. What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
dude, and they're like
that thing sugar. Yeah, they did a whole bunch of stuff to where we really shouldn't have had you eat that much sugar in your lifetime.
yeah, dude, like, or they were like, oh, let's replace all metal stuff with plastic because it's cheaper. Oh, it's built-in obsolescence. Like it was, man. It's the biggest scam ever, right? Because as you said, microplastics,
Yep.
pollution. Only they say something like an estimate of 25% of all recyclable materials actually end up being recyclable. So the rest of it's going to end up being dumped. Like it's built-in obsolescence. Like the ship breaks constantly. Like and they don't know what to do with it. Like half the time they're like, oh, let's just throw it into incinerators. Like you know what I mean? Yeah. They don't know what to do with it.
Throw it in the trash. And the biggest scam is recycling. Penn and Teller
100%.
did a brilliant episode of their show Bullshit on it, because if it's like a bottle, perfect example is like a water bottle like this, throw it in the trash. That's what they're going to do. And I'll tell you why, Walljangers, because this plastic is too thin for the gears of the teeth. See, they shred this crap up and then they melt it down and repurpose it for other things. That's how you get the recycled plastic. However, if it's grade 1, I think that's like grade 1 plastic. If it's that chintzy little plastic, it gets stuck in the gears because it's like little claws that just continuously circle around and chew everything up. So it gets stuck in the gears there, in the claws, and they got to pull it out. So all that plastic, which is like 90% of your plastic waste right there, thrown in the trash, and it just increases landfills.
I've got 2 questions for you, Matt. All right. So, do you have return machines over there?
Return machines? What do you? Oh, for the plastic bottles? No, we don't.
Do you know? So, pretty much like this plastic bottle here, right? So, when I buy this, I pay 15-cent tax on it.
Yeah.
And then if I recycle it, I get my 15-cent back. And they have these big machines set up all over shops and shit like that, like supermarkets, petrol stations, and it's just like it's a way of incentivizing recycling, you know. But where they're going next is anyone's guess. But my second question is way more interesting. Have you ever heard of plastic rice?
Plastic rice?
Rice.
Like for children's play sets?
People are eating it.
No, it's a play set. You're not supposed to eat that shit. You know, that's just like the little. It's just like the tea parties. You're not actually getting tea when you play the tea party. You got to pretend.
No,
like
dude,
that's where they're going wrong. You're not supposed to eat that shit. You're supposed to pretend like, oh, nom nom nom. Wasn't that good rice?
Dude, I swear to fuck, right? I was watching a documentary the other night.
Plastic rice. Plastic
rice. People are actually eating plastic rice in these places that they're making no money. That it's literally like, and they're actually eating plastic rice. Just Google it or ask Gemini right now in case you don't believe me. I watched a documentary about this the other day. Well, a reel. Wow. It was like 15-20 minutes long.
That's crazy. Plastic rice. Real. Wow. I mean, even just for a little environmental segment, this has been really kind of eye-opening here about the fucking.
Dude, in Haiti,
rice.
They eat dirt pies, like mud pies. Have you ever seen this? Where they have no food. It's made out of clay. So you just give them a sense of fullness.
Eating dirt just to put something in your stomach so it doesn't eat itself. Yeah, that's
we don't know poverty, bro. Like we don't.
Oh yeah, no, not like other countries. No, yeah, no, we're good. Especially in this country, there's just a lot of waste in America, especially when you look at grocery stores and the grocery store chains and the Wawas, the fast food. What are they doing with all that excess burgers? Because you look at, like, case in point, McDonald's. McDonald's isn't built to order. They have that shit made, and it's just kind of sitting there waiting for you to buy it. So that's where, all right, end of the day, what do? They take everything out and they toss it right in the trash. There's policies like that, which some places, I will say, go out there and they'll donate the food that they don't sell to charity, to homeless shelters and things like that, places that need it, food banks. But my problem is there's no nutrition. You can take a McDonald's burger right now and set it on the shelf. Come back. You could literally make it into a cartouche and make it a ritual. So when the atom bombs drop, everybody just comes back and worships this Big Mac And they think like we just sat here worshiping food and the Big Mac granted us good yields in our crops and shit. See, this is how myths start. It's exactly how myths start.
Have you ever seen the Michael Fassbender movie? Is it called The Assassin or something? He said there's 15 grams of protein in a McDonald's patty.
Wow. There's more protein than that in my dog's food.
Man, I'm telling my cat,
And
right?
we
My
had
cat
to
eats
search
this
for
food
that,
and
by
they're
the
like
way.
crack addicts for it. If the word ends, I'm trying it. It
Yeah.
must be good.
Well,
My
here's the
dogs
thing.
even eat it.
There's a lot of grain. There's a lot of filler and grain in there. So we go for the high protein stuff because what do they eat in the wild? A lot of protein. If you, the head of the pack goes to the liver. Why? There's all that nutrition right there in the liver. That's where, I get wanting to give them food, like humanize it and give them food that you would want to eat or drink, but it's an animal. It only got to a certain level. Think of it like a video game. They only got to level 2.
Yeah.
You're sitting here level 6, so you can't go expecting level 6 shit out of a level 2.
Yeah.
I love Doodle,
you know what-
the mascot of Projangers. I love him, but and Romeo, the big dumb lummox. But I'm not going to have him do my taxes.
Dude, you know what always confused me, right? You see, cat food and dog food, and they have beef flavor.
Yeah.
They're not eating cows in the wild.
No.
Why we give them beef flavor shit? Like, I don't want a dog or a cat that has that kind of sense of ego.
Yeah.
Living with me.
Yeah, for real. I mean, beef flavored. I mean, and this is the kind of thing. There's like a stagnation in once you get to a certain age of like, chicken again. Like
chicken.
why aren't we using some of these crazy scientists to actually do something helpful? Create different kind of meat. Doesn't taste
They're
like
not going to
chicken.
be the ones to do it, though.
Doesn't taste like, sheep. Doesn't taste like, fish. It's something new,
Just go to the Appalachians and have yourself a fucking turducken, man. You'd be grand.
I mean, just something different, because it's just like there's 4 different proteins in your life, and then you just got a whole bunch of sauce and spices to make it taste good. And then everything else are those dirty, dirty carbs you're not supposed to eat. Just that and vegetables and lettuce. Just toss that greenery in your mouth.
Do you think McDonald's burgers are humans?
I just think it's a lot of filler, like they figured out a meat substitute which is cost effective but not actually there's no sustenance to it. Because even when you look at factory farming and in the cow industry, what did a chicken used to look like? What did it look like? What does it look like today? It's huge because of all the fucking genetic mutation that we've done to these fuckers. They're massive. There's some that can't even walk. You're like, but look at those legs.
KFC chicken. I don't eat KFC. I've never eaten KFC because I heard what they do to their chickens. Like, fuck.
I mean, usually if I go out for chicken, if I see Purdue, I do prefer Purdue. Why? Because the commercials, the guy sat there and said, "Hey, we don't do any of that messed up shit to our chickens." And I'm like, okay, well, my mind wanders, but I'll just assume you're talking about the other messed up stuff. Like, let's make it really beefy and fatty. But there's something we've done to chickens.
I won't even eat lamb because they're babies. Like, I'm weird with meat. Like I'll eat steak, I'll eat chicken, I'll eat eggs, whatever.
I mean, we mainly go to the grocery store here, and even that, I try to stick to the outer ring of the grocery store, because when you go to the inner ring, that's where all the sugar and the carbs and all of that is in there, and that's just where they hook you.
I eat sugar like a motherfucker. I've got such a sweet tooth.
I got a sweet tooth too. I try not to, like a monk that still gets drunk when the parish says he can.
With the skunk, and I'm sorry, you were just rhyming there.
And it was skunky
in his trunk, and
they were talking to Jesus. That with that ritual. Yeah, it wasn't incense they were burning. But I find all this interesting of just all the fucked up shit that we let slip by the wayside. You know what I mean? Like, there's just simple things that you got to do. Like, have a guy check. Most of these things happen because nobody's checking. I'm going to throw it out there, like maybe 80%, right? That seems safe. As a made-up number, but you know what I mean? 80% of all this fucked up, like, environmental shit, chicken and nutrition shit, all this stuff that people raise up questions, 80% of it could be just solved with somebody going, I'm sorry, you're doing what?
I'll tell you something.
No.
Do you know what alleviates people's fears quicker than anything?
Regulation.
Words written on a box. Like, I buy a free-range egg because it says free-range egg. And I am, in my good conscience, like, I've made the right decision because it says it on the box.
And then I'm reminded...
I don't know.
I'm reminded of the scene in Tommy Boy when he's selling the brake pads to the guy. And he's like, yeah, but what are the words on a box? I could get a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking my head up a butcher's ass. Wait, no, that's not right. Like, but that metaphor sticks in my head. Yeah, you could get a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking your head up a cow's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. You know, there is a lot of stuff like that, but we could have somebody check when you say you guarantee something. You know, I mean, just like with food, there's this whole federal this whole federal institution over here called the Food and Drug Administration. They look at all our food because we didn't. You know, turn of the 19th century, you had rats and other, like, feces and muck and questionable material getting stuffed in your sausages and, you know, being in play is said that it's lamb. How many times, even in recent history, have we been told that, yeah, this is cod, this is salmon, and really, cut it open, looks like salmon.
Yeah, man. Cod. Have you ever seen The Cove?
I've seen a couple.
But they were selling whale meat.
I saw a couple documentaries on.
Or sorry, they were selling like dolphin meat, and they were saying it was like
dolphins, and just they don't ask questions. What can we say this is? You know,
and the thing about it is, like, it's really bad for women because dolphin meat is like super high in mercury.
Yeah, what Jeremy Piven, the actor, got mercury poisoning because he ate too much sushi. He ate it like every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he got mercury poisoning. So that's a lot of.
That's such a rich person problem.
You know, if you're not like, I imagine if you're not like Asian, like they have genes in there, man, that like help them eat so much seafood.
And I bet you he was so open himself. I eat sushi.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I mean, like, dude, the first lady and I. I'm not gonna lie, first lady and I. We went, we were out and about yesterday doing some wedding stuff, and on the way home, we stopped at our local gas station, Wawa. Very trusted brand here. There's almost like a religion behind this gas station. You know, there's many videos online of British people and Japanese people, all these different countries coming to Wawa and saying, "Oh my God, this is the best place ever." And this is the first time I've actually agreed with them. We stop at a Wawa. It's not our normal Wawa. You know, you always have that convenience store that's right by you. Since I'm talking to international listeners as well, these podcasts with you, we have this convenience store that is really tried and trusted brand. You go there for anything. You want a drink, you want gas, you want cigarettes, vapes. They got it all. Eggs, milk.
Sounds like paradise.
Yeah, weird shit. You want a pizza? The right time of day, you can get a pizza and a burger. You can also grab a quesadilla, tacos, a sub, whatever you want. You know, sandwich. So there's this amazing place, and we stop at this amazing place, Wawa, that's not our normal Wawa, and we find sushi.
Yeah. Oh my God.
In my mind,
gas station sushi.
My mind, it instantly goes to like 7-Eleven, the old gas station sushi, stories. But I know the Wawa we're at. It's near the corporate office, so they're probably testing this out at a satellite store. And I'm thinking, man, there is that old adage about gas station sushi. But we try it. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've had the sushi at the Giant, which is a supermarket. So I've had supermarket sushi. I've had gas station sushi, and I got to tell you, outside of an actual sushi restaurant, I kind of prefer the Wawa sushi. It's not a free plug for them. I mean, well, it is a free plug for them, but I mean, it's just when it went against that adage of gas station sushi, and since we happen to talk about it, it's so weird how I've actually found the loophole in that rule of gas station sushi. I've always followed it. Like, oh, you have sushi,
and you're like,
that's nice.
I thought you were going to be like, I tried it and hospitalized for 3 days,
and I grew a tail. Like, no, that's what my one buddy said. He was like, "Yeah, get ready for a tail," and I'm like, "No tail." And I'm like, "Nope, yeah, still no tail." So, a couple days after the sushi, still no tail. But it's one of those things that you never know when you'll find something weird and kind of like unexpected like that, and it actually pays you back instead of slapping you in the face like a bitter bitch like life is.
I had the opposite. I was going to my brother's birthday party. Me and my brother drove up from Portlaoise, where we're from, to Dundalk, where my brother was living at the time, and we stopped at this restaurant. And on the sign, we should have known. It said traditional Indian Italian restaurant, and I'm like, there's no tradition behind that.
They were pretty separate. They were pretty even as cultures. They were pretty separate.
It was just a tipper, and it was not nice. It was not nice at all. No.
I mean, curry really did take the world by storm. It's the one thing I've learned
curry
from watching anime is just like outside of the U.S., like everywhere else, there's people that love curry.
It's from the Commonwealth. It's from the British Empire. Like a lot of those spices and flavors all came from the British Empire.
Oh yeah, the Empire countries.
Yeah, even like we had a monocrop culture. Like a lot of people thought with the potato, and that's what it became because the British were exporting all our actual crops at gunpoint, and that's where the famine came from. But the potato isn't even natural to Ireland. It comes from South America. It was brought over here by Sir Walter Raleigh during the British occupation, and the reason the Irish famine happened was because the blight. We had a monoculture that was propped up because the British were taking up all of our corn, our wheat, our meat, everything. They were taking all of it at gunpoint and from their plantations and exporting it. And that's where the famine comes from. The famine's a genocide. Like the famine is like the reason the Irish were so dependent on the potatoes because it's the only thing we were allowed to eat at the time because the British were stealing all our food and our crops and our meat and shit. And that's like that's what the British Empire, like a lot of to get back to my point, was that a lot of those foods and seasonings and spices and curries and all that shit, that all comes from British occupation around the world and shit.
Interesting, because it reminds me of another thing we saw. We saw a bag of Irish potato chips.
Did you buy them?
We did. They were great.
Nice.
They were fantastic. It was truffle and Irish flavored. It was truffle and Irish potato chips is what they were called. So it was she was giggling because they're truffles, and obviously truffles are mushrooms. I hate mushrooms, but as a flavor, it was interesting. It was different.
What was the brand?
I can't remember the brand. But what was the brand of the Irish chips?
What?
The brand.
Lays, no.
I don't know, but they were fucking shit. Hold on, I'll find out. I'll Google it.
She's Googling it now.
She's passionate about those potatoes. We call them potatoes over here. You call them crisps.
Yeah, especially for silly. She'll look it up and find the info. But those chips, they were fantastic. So you can get some sushi and some of these Irish chips and sit down and watch the silly little podcast, and there you go.
Yeah.
What were they?
We call them either
Keoghs.
Kios?
Kyos.
Kios.
Kyos.
Kios, yeah.
Keoghh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kyos, yeah.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. Yeah. Truffle and Irish potato chips. So they made it over
They're a
here.
brand over here too. They're a brand over here too.
They're a brand over there, he's saying.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! If I give him money, can he send me a box?
Oh my God, she's already brokering international trade for she loves those chips. Because anytime she finds something gluten-free, it's just like, I need all of these.
And,
well, I mean, it doesn't say they don't deliver to the U.S. I just imagine the shipping alone would kill me.
Yeah, but like it's once in a lifetime experience. Don't be such a
A year ago, we made our own Bucarel candy, so I have my own. I was just thinking,
Bro, what you do in your personal life?
wow, you'll love the name of this next bar because I just randomly thought of a new line of chocolate bars, which is Mattman's Big Ol' Peanut Butter Bar. And it's just a big ass peanut butter bar I can lay down for people.
You
And they can buy it. Yeah.
Is it going to be phallic?
I mean, if we could, there are the molds out there where you can make the penis chocolates and stuff like that. A friend told me.
I was fucking tiptoeing around it, and you're like straight with the dick. You know what I mean? We were tiptoeing around it.
Yeah, you can't tiptoe on the dick. You just got to go right in. But you got a 2-drink minimum, but 2 drinks hits that subscribe button right there. Right where I am is going to be the very best Purge Hangers and Wall Hangers video for you. And then the other box is going to be every single silly little podcast in a playlist. Until we see you next time, gang, drive on and game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.